A lot of YouTube channels are saying, forget the Ford Maverick, get a Toyota Stout. And I see it influences people's purchasing decisions, because I'll have people on and I'm sure you see this as well, Tim, people saying, you know what, I'm not going to wait. I'm tired of waiting for, or some people, they've never even waited for a Toyota, for a Ford Maverick. And they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to order a Ford Maverick. I'm just going to wait. I'll get a Toyota Stout sooner anyways. Well, first of all, the Toyota Stout, it's only official that Toyota is considering it. And I've got slides for this, but it's just wild that you'll have some YouTube channels go on to, let's see it right here. They say the Toyota Stout is going to tow more than the Ford Maverick, when really behind me, that is what we could say a Toyota Maverick, because, you know, that is literally a Maverick with a few differences, you know, pasted on, really poorly photoshopped work.
It doesn't exist yet, so we don't know how much it can tow.
but that says, is that yours? Because 3,500 is still lower than the Maverick.
Yeah. So these AI generated, I don't know if they're AI generated. I think the scripts are probably AI generated, because I can't imagine a human being having such poor use of deduction and logic. But then again, you know, we'll just say not everyone's a Sherlock Holmes, and clearly not everyone's a Watson either, because this was the equivalent of a 20-watt light bulb. It will not light up a room properly. You're going to be left out in the dark. Don't try to read, folks, with a 20-watt light bulb. You will get a headache. But people consume these channels like they're begging to read in the dark and get a migraine. It's wild, because they go on to say the Toyota Stout, don't buy the Ford Maverick. The Toyota Stout is going to be more fuel efficient. Well, that's funny, because what we could say is Toyota and Ford have a very similar ECVT system. And it's probably more likely that if the Toyota Stout exists, and if it comes down and is offered as a hybrid, they'll probably consume very similar amounts of fuel as the Ford Maverick, because they're using a very similar propulsion system. It's, you know, and even when Toyota goes out of their way to have something very similar to Ford, if you think about the Toyota Tundra's 3.5 liter EcoBoost twin turbo V6 hybrid, which is, you know, really similar to what Ford has. Ford's calling it a power boost. Toyota has the same thing. And are they a whole lot more fuel efficient? No, in the real world, they're probably similar to people's tests seem to be showing that it's consuming a little bit more fuel than Ford's motor, even though they're, you know, 10 years late to the game. They're, at least for the 3.5 liter EcoBoost, that's right, Winston, they're about 10 years late to the game. Honey, when you put the dog down, can you lay him down instead of throw him to the ground?
I throw my
Oh, that was the pen. Okay, I heard the pen hit the ground, and I thought it was the dog hitting the ground. So,
No.
So in regards to the Toyota Stout, I do really want to point out, folks, order a Ford Maverick. It's a great vehicle. Don't wait for, right now, this is a unicorn. It doesn't exist, and it will only exist once it's confirmed existence. Heck, who knows? Maybe unicorns do exist somewhere in some unexplored world, you know, in the center of Antarctica on someone's, you know, conspiracy wish list. But right now, this is as valid as, you know, a wildly outrageous conspiracy theorists wish list. This is the Bigfoot. This is your unicorn. This is dinosaurs existing at the center of Antarctica. The Toyota Stout, they're only talking about it, and it's just fear tactics to say, well, you know, here's a photo of a burnt Ford Maverick, so, you know, that means the Ford Maverick is bad. You can get photos of every make and model. I wouldn't say don't buy a Tesla, because there's some photos of Teslas that have caught fire. There's a whole bunch of photos of Teslas that have caught fires. There's a whole bunch of photos of BMWs that have caught fire. And you'll find photos of every make and model that have caught fire. It's all about percentages. If the vehicle's catching fire every single time it gets rear-ended like a 1971 Ford Pinto, well, don't buy a 1971 Ford Pinto, or get a deal on one, take out the fuel tank and put in a fuel cell, like a fuel tank that has, you know, get a special race fuel tank that is, you know, even under impact, because the final layer is like 2 layers of separated plastic, that it won't leak. There's always pros and cons to everything. And sometimes, you know, you have a model that'll be a great deal, a great price. You know, the used market is a great example of pros and cons to everything. Usually the models with the best prices are the least reliable. You can find 10, you know, you can look at a 10-year-old Ford Edge, the price is still high on it. You can look at a 10-year-old Toyota RAV4, the price is still high on those vehicles. High price, that's bad. Extremely reliable vehicle, that's really good. You can also find 10-year vehicles that they're almost paying you to drive away with, but they're just hot garbage. So pros and cons to everything. And one pro to the, you know, if you believe in consumer reports, the Consumer Reports, I believe it was Consumer Reports, the Ford Maverick did get rated the third best truck because it was compared to the mid-size truck market, and the Ford Ranger was in the top 3 as well. But like Tim and I said earlier, the what is reliable and what is not reliable is how much is it going to cost you to own that vehicle over the period of time you're looking to own it. And of course, what is resale? Because, you know, if a vehicle is unbelievably reliable for the first 5 years, but is horribly unreliable on its 10th year, well, it doesn't really bother you if you're selling it after 5 years. But how is that long-term reliability going to affect its resale value in the 5th year? We see these on European vehicles. A European vehicle that can be $100,000 new. Well, after 5 years, if it's $42,000, well, that's because that vehicle is considered to be unreliable now that it's no longer under warranty. Its unreliability truly negatively impacts its value.
Mhm.
So apparently the Toyota Stout is also going to be a better off-roading option, which is funny. The vehicle doesn't exist yet, and this video even went on to say that the Ford Maverick wasn't good at off-roading, and I would disagree. I think the Tremor is an excellent off-roader. I would not, heck, your hybrid was actually pretty decent in that snowstorm we had. We had what, 3-4 inches of snow plus an ice layer on top, and you're on the original tires, which are, it's like the worst rubber compound to be on an icy surface with. And we made it home. And my only regret, we have driven our dealership's hybrid demonstrator. We drove that while towing, and we drove that 1 to about 2 kilometers uphill in 3 to 4 inches of snow, and we just trudged right through, and it was great.
Yeah.